dear Lord, do I have to? Well, yes, unfortunately I do. As you all know, I'm the gender hipster, and if it features cross-dressing, gender bending, or all-round gender fuckery, then I have to review it. And this time I've got something far worse than its pat. This show was so offensive and bad that it got cancelled after 2 episodes. It's sexist, homophobic, transphobic, and above all else, unfunny. This is Work It. Work It follows a pretty standard formula for cross-dressing comedies, heterosexual cisgendered men having to dress as women for some contrived reasoning. Sometimes the formula is funny and it works, but as I said, this genre decreases in quality as time goes on. And this show came out in 2012, making it very recent, so you'd be safe to assume that it reaches almost immeasurable heights of suckage. And you'll be right! Now you know why I'm sitting down. Alright, let's get this over with. In episode 1, we are introduced to our main character, Lee Standish. Lee bitches about how he has very few funds or job prospects, and he and his buddies have been fired from their jobs and can't find new ones.
It's not a recession, it's a man-session.
Apparently this is due to the recession and the fact that women are taking over the workforce, which sounds more than a little unrealistic to me. I mean, yes, if they want to get jobs in nursing or pole dancing or teaching or something, but otherwise I'm not convinced that every single employer in the entire city is unwilling to hire men. Lee overhears a woman working for a drug company talking about how her employer requires more sales representatives, but apparently they are only hiring women. The contrived coincidence is underway. Lee dresses up as a woman and... wait a minute? How did Lee get the clothes? He's obviously not the same physical size as his wife. Did he go shopping? I thought he didn't have any money!
You know what? I'm just gonna have to find myself a rich, older boyfriend.
You and me both.
Anyway, Lee dresses up as a woman and manages to get the job at the pharmaceuticals company, and wait, hold it! How is it possible that Lee can be hired for a job in the guise of a woman and not undergo any background checks whatsoever? Obviously, the employer looks at his CV, but doesn't check any of his references or need his identification for paperwork or anything. Applying for a job as the opposite gender to your birth gender is a pretty big deal, and even if your employer is very liberal about hiring transgender and gender variant people, they're going to find out! This might have been able to fly in 1920, where not only was transgender visibility practically non-existent, but there were also much fewer systems of identification in place. But nowadays, if you apply for even the lowest lackey job, you'll need some form of identification for bank details to prove you're a citizen, and so on. There is no way that Lee would be able to maintain the masquerade for longer than it took for the employer to ask for identification or a reference, which would be littered with the wrong pronouns. This whole premise is stupid! Lee doesn't tell his family or his friends the particulars of his job for obvious reasons. Probably because the whole premise is stupid, and also because his friend, Brian, is the most obnoxious and sexist piece of comic relief that I've ever seen.
Sorry, ladies. A man got a job. Guess you'll have to wait a little while longer for you sex slaves. Shut up!
Lee's friend Angel wants a piece of the employment pie, which the writers demonstrate in the most offensive way possible.
I'm not sure you'd be up for everything this job requires. But I'm Puerto Rican. I'll be great at selling drugs.
Racist, sexist, unfunny, and transphobic. Wow, it just ticks all the boxes. Lee not only doesn't pass as a cis female, he also acts in a way that no woman would actually act.
Ooh, I should take this. It's my waxer.
No! God, please, no!
They were more subtle in Some Like It Hot, over 50 years ago. Lee sees Angel working at Astro Taco and reveals himself.
How did you even do this?
We are then treated to a horrible dressing up montage set to...
What you gonna do with all that junk inside your trunk?
I'ma get you drunk, get you love drunk off my hump, 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 my lovely little lump.
However, Work It rewards us for sitting through my humps with what may be the only mildly funny joke in the whole series.
Hey Angel, bathroom needs cleaning.
I just cleaned it 10 minutes ago.
Welcome to Astro Taco.
Angel manages to get himself employed, and how? Okay, stretching my suspension of disbelief, it's possible to see how Lee got employed. After all, he did have a sales background. But how the hell did Angel get a job? Did they falsify all his paperwork? Surely if he has no way of proving his identity in previous employment, then they'll think that she's an illegal immigrant? This kind of complete lack of logic might be able to fly if the show were actually funny, but it's about as funny as a Christmas cracker joke. Wrapped around a brick. Dropped on your toe. And the less said about Angel's feminine manner, the better. At work, Lee's colleague, the shrillest, most annoying woman in the world, buys Lee a new handbag.
The bag is just a reminder that you're a woman. And you have needs. You can't neglect yourself.
Well, maybe you're right.
Well, stop it!
This is not something that women do. You might buy your best friend a handbag, or your girlfriend, or your mother, but you do not buy expensive handbags for people you've only been working with for at most a couple of weeks. Of course, Angel has his eye on his boss, who might be a lesbian.
Nice.
Oh yes, completely inoffensive and by no means exploitative writing there. Good job! The women all go to the club and then we are treated to them dancing to some atrocious music. Some Like It Hot had better music than this. It's Pat had better music than this. And then the episode ends, and what do you have to say for yourself, writers? It was awful, cringe-worthy, unfunny, and offensive in every way. However, it was only about 20 minutes long, so at least I didn't waste too much of my lifespan. But now that I've caught my breath, it's time for me to dive back into the sitcomic sewer that is Work It, Episode 2. Sometimes I really do think my life is unfair. Blah blah, Lee doesn't want to tell anyone about his job. Blah blah, being female means being insanely stereotypical. The dynamic duo then go to start their sales. Angel is extremely unqualified to a level that is beyond stupid.
I want to say it's called Zacatac? Zacrosystemax? Yeah, that one. You want to buy some?
I don't know anything about pharmaceuticals, but I would have at least tried to read up a little bit on the thing that I was supposed to be selling. However, Angel manages to succeed through flirting and sheer blind idiocy, whereas Lee, who actually knew the product, doesn't make a sale. It turns out that Angel's successful sales were to do with the doctor finding her attractive. He later rings to ask Angel out. Yeah, we didn't see that one coming. Lee is told by his wife that women are apparently allowed to flirt to gain job success.
She flirted?
Yeah, which is totally unfair.
Oh, babe, we're allowed to do that. I mean, I am an awesome nurse, but even sometimes I need to break out the red bra.
At work.
Yep. Need to leave work early? Red bra. More comfortable chair? Red bra. Raise? Red bra. Actually, that was no bra.
So he decides to try this himself. Strangely, the doctor has the only normal, understandable reaction of anyone that we've seen so far on this show. The show finishes with Lee turning up to rescue Angel from the date with the doctor. And that's the last that I'll ever have to watch of Work It. Ever. Work It received complaints for being transphobic, but most of its laughs weren't at the extent of transgender people. The word transgender is never actually mentioned on the show. This isn't to say that it isn't offensive. No! But above all else, Work It is offensive to women. The whole ridiculous premise starts with the idea that women are taking over the workforce and that no one wants to hire men. For one thing, it is completely illegal to refuse to hire an otherwise qualified person because of their gender, unless that gender is actually a factor in the job description. And another thing, women generally get the short end of the stick in the workforce as compared to men. The pay scale is still, for the most part, unequal, and women often end up on lower wages due to only being able to do part-time work, or having broken periods of employment due to raising families. Women are also more likely to end up in caring or service-based professions which pay less. The idea that all of the women are kicking all the men out of the workforce and taking all of the good jobs is stupid, and it completely falls apart if you think about it for more than 5 minutes. Okay, you'll probably think I'm being overly pedantic. Well then, let's leave the implausibility factor of this behind and just focus on the way they portray women generally. Oh wait, terribly!
I'm a single mom too. Ethan is 8. He's always the only one at Bring Your Kid to Work Day, but now your daughter will be there too.
No one is going home until we dance.
Almost every woman in Work-It is either annoying, shrewish, or bitchy, or some kind of combination of the three.
Okay, here's a tip. When I want to make a sale, the first thing I do is be a regular-sized person.
I mean, I could never be as tiny and fun as Kelly or as perfect and British as Grace. Am I right, love?
The women are portrayed in a stereotypical fashion as shallow, hyper-feminine harpies who only care about fashion and being thin.
Hey, Kelly, can I ask you a question?
34C.
Attention writers of Work-It. There are more ways than one to be a woman. Then again, you apparently didn't reach that memo because you apparently have no idea how gender politics actually work. I wouldn't be surprised if you've never actually met a woman, let alone a real-life trans person. Yes, they exist. They're not like unicorns. And of course, there's something we can't ignore. You may remember that I got fired from my last job for being too confusing. Well, not in the Work-It world. In Work-It, you'll just have to breeze into a place and ask for a job, and if you're wearing a skirt, you get it. The people who made Work-It had no idea how this scenario would actually play out. In real life, it would be much harder than normal for Lee and Angel to get jobs dressed as women. Let's just completely disregard the fact that they don't pass at all and obviously have male bodies, and instead think about the fact that they effectively have no work history available to them. This job isn't just some guy paying them cash in hand to put up a roof. The employer is going to check their references and will require their bank account details, their proof of residency, and some form of identification, and their crappily handled charade will very soon go straight out the window. Full-time employment among the transgender community is very low because of these issues. Employers often don't want to hire trans people, and even if they are hired, other employees often act in an overly insensitive manner towards them, either by asking them overly personal questions or just being downright insulting. Since they often can't use their previous job experience, they effectively have no experience, meaning that they are considered underqualified. Work-It not only exploits the idea that men cross-dressing or acting in gender-variant ways are inherently funny, but it also fails to represent the serious issues facing those who do not conform to a cisgender identity. I'm talking employment discrimination and, oh yes, that's right, hate crime. A more mean-spirited person would suggest that maybe Lee and Angel were walking home from their job in female attire when they got pounced on and had their heads bashed in, hence the premature end of the show. But no, the show was cancelled because above all else, it was unfunny. There's barely anything resembling a good joke in the whole 45-minute running time.
Soon, they'll start getting rid of men. They'll just keep a few of us around as sex slaves.
That part doesn't sound so bad.
Not the kind of sex you like, Angel. Just kissing and cuddling and listening.
The premise has been done before in the 1980s as Bosom Buddies, which was about two buddies who dressed as women to get a cheap apartment. So why does Bosom Buddies get a pass but not Work-It? For one thing, it was 30 years ago. Transgender rights were much less visible, and the idea of a man dressing as a woman was still considered pretty funny in and of itself. For another thing, I don't think the writing ever sucked this much. I've never seen Bosom Buddies, but I refuse to believe it could ever be as dire as this.
Look, honey, are you two farm girls? I mean, you are big. Really big. What?
Did he leave you for someone smaller?
So yes, that was Work-It, and it was a painful, festering hunk of unfunny crap straight from the television toilet. Don't even bother with this, it isn't worth it. If you want to watch a sensitive, honest portrayal of cross-dressing, go and watch Glen or Glenda. Yes, that's right, I just told you to watch Glen or Glenda, because even a movie from the 1950s directed by the most notoriously poor director of all time and featuring terrible acting is better than this. And next time ABC wants to do a series about gender variance, they should actually get a consultant. They should call me. Ever since being fired, I've had loads of free time.
I'm gonna